And now at 5:30, as we say hello to the moderator of Face the Nation, John Dickerson, a family, a whole community here in South Florida gets ready for a funeral tomorrow, while the political tension surrounding the tragedy in Niger shows no signs of easing. And John, this is personal. I want to talk to you about this because this family, they are our neighbors here in South Florida, and they find themselves at the center of this story that won't go away. Why wouldn't the White House just come out and say, you know what? We're going to call Myeshia Johnson again. The president certainly didn't mean to upset her, but she was left with that impression for whatever reason. Let's call her again and make sure she's okay. That seems like that's all it would take, right?
Well, not necessarily. If you know, it's not entirely possible that more attention from the president and being put back into the center of this back and forth is what a grieving widow would want. I don't know. And part of the tragedy here is that this sacred space and this sacred moment of mourning has been trampled on by people who are seeking to use the moment for other purposes. And so, that's it's not clear that that is a solution to an obvious problem. Part of what's happened here is this has now gotten into a political fight, and those take on a life of their own, and they don't make things better usually.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and obviously this family is going to grieve regardless of whether the White House reaches out again. But it just seems like a phone call from someone in the administration, even privately, could go a long way. I mean, no one thinks the president meant to make things worse for her, but according to the mother of this fallen soldier, that's exactly what happened. And so it just seems like a no-brainer to me that somebody could reach out and say, look, the president did not mean to upset you. We understand that he did, but what can we do to make this good? What can we do to help bring about some healing here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's one possible route. Of course, on the other hand, you can imagine that if the first call didn't go well, there's not a guarantee that the second call will go well. And then in your effort to try to solve it, you've made it worse. So I think that this is not a situation that has simple solutions other than one side or the other restraining themselves from continuing the back and forth and the political fight and sticking there, you know, and causing more division where it isn't very helpful.
I understand what you're saying. I want to ask you quickly, we just have a little under a minute. Two former presidents, Bush 43 and President Obama, both spoke yesterday publicly. They did not mention President Trump by name, but if you listen to what they were saying and how they were saying it was pretty clear who they were talking about. What do you think the takeaway is in Washington now that we've had two former presidents speak critically, again, even if they didn't mention President Trump by name, about this administration and where the state of our politics stands right now?
Well, I think you can expand it even further. Yes, they were talking about basically what are the standards in American life at home and also abroad. John McCain spoke to that on Monday this week at the Constitution Center, and then even General Kelly yesterday was talking about the falling of American standards. So we've had four leaders in America this week address this issue, and it is something that people talk about a lot, which is the question of what are the rules, and they seem to be breaking, and no one seems to be able to say this is the way you should behave, and so people feel a little disoriented, and I'm not sure that I mean, this being part of the conversation is helpful, but it's more something that gets acted out in the way people behave than in the way they talk about the way they behave.
Thank you, John. Always good to talk to you, John Dickerson, moderator of Face the Nation, and you can watch John Sundays at 10:30 a.m. only right here on CBS 4.